This over here is things from my kitchen, like kitchen scraps, grass cuttings, my animal bedding, and leaves, and anything from the garden. So stop throwing away your kitchen scraps and don't throw away your grass clippings or even the leaves that you collect around your homestead. So let's get into how you guys can compost from home today. Okay, over here I have my little compost bin from the kitchen. And And what I do is that I normally fill this up with all my kitchen scraps, and once a week I bring it to my big compost bin and I just dump it in there. And that way, none of my waste goes to waste. I don't throw this in the dustbin and it goes to a landfill where it just gets dumped there. In this way, it gets dumped in my compost bin where it This way, it gets dumped into my compost bay, where in return, I get awesome compost from. And what better way to get free compost from your kitchen waste? So you'll see here, I have a whole bunch of fruits in here. I got banana peels. I got a old pomegranate that got infected by worms. I got some orange peels. I've got some fruits and more veggies, lettuce, got cucumbers. So what will happen is that I'll just come and dump it in here. So if you do not have any space like garden and that, you can start composting in your kitchen. So the very first question you're going to probably ask is, won't this start stinking in your kitchen? So use a product called Bokashi. It is a brand that you just throw. It's a brand that you throw into your compost bin when you put your waste, and it helps break down the matter a little bit faster, and it also helps it to not stink. And before you know it, this will all be breaking down. Pros in using this method is that there's no smell indoors because of using kobashi, and you can compost more types of food, including cooked food. It's super convenient and beginner friendly, and it keeps your waste out of your bins immediately. The cons of using this method is that it does require kobashi brand. It needs a second composting stage outside in order for you to get your compost, and it's a slight learning curve at first. Also, another thing is that if you see it going a little bit too moist, just throw some more cardboard in it. Everybody has cardboard. You got toilet rolls, throw some toilet rolls and break it into pieces, put it in here and mix it. It just means that you got too much greens, that your fruits, and that what happens is that all that moisture will come out of your peels and that is what creates that juice sometimes. And also it depends on the weather. If it's too hot, then it will start sweating. So this is really nice to have at home, and this is how I started in the kitchen composting, and I used kobashi and it worked perfectly. So give this one a try. It's definitely worth it. And yeah, let's go to the next method. The simplest outdoor compost system you can build is the cattle panel cylinder. All it is a cattle panel or a wire mesh formed into a cylinder, and you just fill it up with your leaves, your garden waste, kitchen scraps, and just let nature do its things. The pros in using this method is that it has an excellent airflow, which then of course speeds up the decomposition. It is cheap and easy to build. It's great for large volumes of garden waste, and it's low maintenance. So just make sure that you water it once in a blue moon, and it doesn't really retain the heat as well as an enclosed system. I started in the kitchen first, then the wire mesh, and then I decided to get my own box where I started putting regular worms in. So this method's a little bit advanced, but it is possible. So you can see I've already gone and put some leaves in here. That's some brown matter because it's quite moist in here, and you can see I've actually got it tilted so that all that water drains into my tap where I actually collect all of my liquid. We'll go into that just now. Sorry. So I start with a layer of I think it's peat moss. I put at the bottom, and then I just start putting a whole bunch of food matter. So it be lettuce and peppers and any food scraps can go in there. So this is perfect for your kitchen compost bin that you bring out once a week to go into here. That is how I actually did it. And it's full now, so I do a different method. But when it's not full, this is how I do it. I'll bring my kitchen waste from my 2-liter compost bin outside, and I put it into this bigger one. And what happens is that I've added regular worms, so the regular worms actually come up, they eat all the greens that I've put in there, and they go back down, and they basically poop all of the goodness out, and all of this matter that is in this bin gets turned to compost. So the pros in using this method is that it produces very high quality compost. It's faster in breaking down. It also gives you liquid fertilizer as a bonus, and it's great for a smaller space. But the cons is that it requires maintenance and monitoring. The worms need the right conditions, can smell if not managed properly, and there is a setup. But once you've sorted that out, you can start your process. Okay, so earlier on, I went and actually put a few of my leaves that I'm raking up now, and I added it to my compost bin. It's a little bit moist in here, so I've decided to put more brown matter in, and you can see if I just go like that, all of this is pure compost at its best. So what I'm going to do, wait for the leaves to break down a little bit more, and what I can do is now, when this is all broken down to compost, is take this soil and actually add it to my pots, my beds, and this my plants will thank me for. Okay, so another thing is that all that liquid that runs out into this bottle, and I've just emptied this bottle and used it in the garden, but this will fill up again to the top. I dilute it with some more water and give it to my plants and my crops. And this is called tea fertilizer. And it's all that goodness that comes from all of my waste, and it gets drained in here so I can actually use it in my garden. So over here I have my 3-bay system, and how it's supposed to work is that you have your first bay, which is a bay you throw all your fresh materials in, your food scraps, your grass clippings, your animal bedding, your fallen leaves, branches, and this all goes in the first bay where it will start breaking down very slowly. Once it starts breaking down, you'll just add that to your second bay. The second bay is basically the materials breaking down, starting its process, and you just keep on filling this bed with your fresh material, and then you move it to the second bay where obviously the breaking down starts. And then the third bay is where the finished product is produced. It is where you will get your compost, and it's supposed to be rotated like that. But in my case, we just have so much material here at the homestead that it is now becoming something that just sits here and breaks down, and that just takes much slower. So if you do it the correct way and you keep on turning your second bay and then obviously throwing it into the third bay, it will obviously break down. Within 3 months, 3 to 4 months, you should have really good soil. So that is how the 3 compost bay works. So now that I'm not using it as a 3 bay, and we're just now got our material sitting on the top, underneath there is really good rich compost. We know this because we basically harvested at the end of winter, early spring. We removed all the top layers and we dug up all that beautiful soil, and I managed to get 3 huge bags full of compost, which I then threw back into my raised beds and in pots and any other flower pots that needed it. So when we put our material in here, you'll see it slowly start breaking down and getting less in here. And we now need to go and rake all these leaves up and throw it in the compost bin. But our compost bin is full. So what we are going to do is we're going to do a quick rake, and I'm going to take you to another method that I've got on the other side where the actual homestead is, and I'll show you that method. And that is what I'm doing right now, because we also got some animal beddings that need to also get chucked, and for that we need to try and just turn it a bit so that there's some action going in. Remember, compost works faster if there is oxygen, where there's air actually getting to your compost bay, and right now there's no air reaching the middle of our compost base, and that is what takes so slow. The microorganisms aren't getting the oxygen, and so the breakdown is a little bit slower, or much slower. Okay, so let's quickly do some raking and take all our beautiful leaves to another compost bay that I'm going to show you. So the pros of using the 3 bay system is that it's a very efficient system. It produces constant compost if done correctly. It also is easy to manage at the difficult stages, and it's great for serious gardeners. Cons of using this method is that it does require space. It takes time to build, but once you've built it, you've got your system in place, and it does need some effort to turn and manage. So if you're composting regularly, the system is really the one for you. So we are going into winter, which means this big tree is going to lose all its leaves. Once it loses all its leaves, we get all of the leaves on the ground. So what do is we will take majority of it and throw it in the compost bin. I'll take some of them and I'll use it in my homestead, mulch all our pots, mulch all our raised beds, and then the balance that just falls on the ground, I leave it on the ground so that it insulates the ground, and that is perfect. So it's a win-win for us. But this is absolute gold, so don't throw away your leaves, because not only does it act as mulch, it acts as something that will break down and give you free compost. Over here I've got 2 raised beds. I decided to take all the compost out of here, fill up some other beds, and use this as a compost bay where things can just break down slowly over winter, and in return just give me some compost. It's one way of doing it, only because I'm running out of space in my compost bay. But this way, I'm here in the garden, I'm just busy trimming some of my crops down, all the leaves that don't look too lacquer, and I just throw it in here and I mix it up. And this is what I'm using this compost bay for right now, is all my kitchen scraps. So this is 1 week of kitchen scraps, and I just literally dump everything in there. I get my spade, I mix this together, and that way I am busy breaking down all my food scraps that I've collected in my kitchen, and in return I'm going to get compost. So I'm looking at all different ways of getting free compost and returning everything that I use in my homestead and in my kitchen back. It just makes sense to return it back into nature. So this works perfectly. What I also do is that, I don't know if you can see, but there's some juice that's still there. I'll fill this up with water, give it a good stir, and put it in some of my pot plants, and it really does make a difference. The pros of doing it this method is it's an easier method. There is no setup cost. It's a very natural process, and it's great for large properties. So the cons is that it is slow in breaking down. It can attract pests, and there's less control over the process, and it can definitely look messy. But this is perfect if you want something completely low effort. And just doing it this method, I can already see how it's broken down, and I'm already getting compost. So that is fantastic. Fill up this bed and keep on mixing it and turning it. And over here I've already started as well. So over here we've got the Aerobin composting system, and you can see I have the 400 liter. It is sitting at the bottom of the homestead. It is more modern and it looks a little bit neater. You can't see the mess that's going on inside. And if I just go like that, you'll see that it has this beautiful system inside. There is something in the middle. It's called a lung, and what that provides is oxygen right through the whole composting system, which means that the microorganisms that are busy breaking down my waste to make it into compost gets more oxygen, and that just helps speed the whole process. It's easy. It has two doors, one at the front, one at the back. It has this lid where I can actually go like this, hook it there, throw in all my scraps, and then just bring it back up, close it, and it breaks down much faster than all the other compost methods that I've spoken about. Yes, it is a little bit pricey, but remember, what you invest in is what you get. So you get compost faster than all the other methods. It doesn't stink, and in return you also got this little valve, and it's a little pipe that connects to the Aerobin. What happens is that moisture will come to the bottom, collect in a tank here, and you'll be able to see it through this clear pipe. It's off at the moment. I don't have anything in here right now, but if you saw the liquid in the pipe, you just basically open the tap. You'll have your bottle or container which will collect all that tea, and that is called tea fertilizer, where you are able to then go and dilute it with some water, go and fertilize your garden. Your garden will absolutely love you for that. So that was all the compost methods that I have personally used around my homestead. So from experience, I know they work. Comment below and tell me what composting methods you guys use. And don't forget to like, subscribe, because it means the world to me. And we will see you in this video.